Hey everyone, Jamie Hernandez here, founder of Breakthrough Yoga Coaching Method, helping you bridge the gap between your spiritual practice and your business so that you can grow emotionally and make money. So today I wanted to go here on my profile, which I'm in the Discipline of Business and Yoga Facebook group. So if you go there, you're going to find loads and loads of trainings, either embodiment practices or mostly concepts of how to bridge the gap between our spiritual practice and our business. So you can go there and find many trainings, many hours of trainings there. But today I want to come into our biggest asset that us as healers, as empaths, as sensitives, as people in the transformational space have, which is our body. Our body as people in the field, what we start to realize is that we feel before we think. So that's why sometimes business strategy for you can feel overwhelming. Money, marketing, sales can feel like, oh my God, this insurmountable thing, or this kind of like, or this like resistance, or some kind of feeling towards it. So what better way to utilize what we already know, the doorway we already know, than utilize the body as a portal, as a doorway. Hey, Debbie, Despina, right? As a doorway to enter our vision, because that's how it comes in, right? When we have visions of our life, it's not something we thought of. It's not something that it's something that all of a sudden, and I want you to think about this. It's often something that you've always seen yourself doing when you were younger. So let me know in the comments if there was always like a feeling or a sense, or like, so I have some clients who are like, I've always seen myself talking to a lot of people. I've always seen myself helping animals. I've always seen myself, helping people in a particular way. And that's your intuition. Because intuition is remembering the past, but it's also remembering the future differently. And so if we want to tune into the future and bring it back here into the 3D reality, we need to start to remember, right? Remember our vision, let ourselves feel it in the body. And when we feel it in the body, it starts to become more crystallized in a feeling, in a vision, in a color, in just a knowing, because that's what intuition is. We can sometimes hear it, sometimes we can see it, sometimes we can feel it. Everyone's a bit different, right? So let me know in the comments for you what it is. Like when you have intuition, how do you receive it? And then once we receive that, especially as spiritual entrepreneurs, how can we take that vision and start to play with that vision here on earth? And again, out of this place where it's like, it has to be this certain way, or we have to, it's just like, how can we start to bring it out of the etheric realm and into, oh, okay, how can I actually explore that reality here on earth? Because if the vision of our life continues to act as a dream, and we keep on waking up to this reality, there is something in our soul that will always kind of beckon us. It will always be like, okay, yeah, that's really great what you're doing, but whew, go left now. Whew, go try that art class. Whew, go try that dance class. Whew, go get your degree in this thing that is. And the thing about your vision, because it's coming from your soul, it's never rational. So that's the thing we want to understand, because the vision of our life comes through that creative kind of brain. And this is where we get it mixed up. We think we're going to have to use the left brain to make things happen here in this world. But as intuitives, as empaths, as sensitives, as healers, we actually have to hear it from that creative source and then implement it here on earth. So if we have this kind of inkling, this spark, and we move towards it, we're going to feel like what we call like feeling in alignment, because it came from that source of our soul. But if it's kind of like, you see something, and we all do this, right? You see something from the external point of view, or you see somebody living this really amazing life, or you perceive it at this amazing life, and then you're like, okay, well, they're always eating vegan food. Oh, I must do that. And so you sometimes you see it from the external, which can be a mirror of what's possible and potential, but sometimes we can get it a little bit confused, and we start chasing this vision of what the external success looks like, and then we kind of lose our way, and we don't hear it from that truth, from that voice. And those who are empathetic and intuitive will always feel a sense of like, it is kind of the way I want to go, but not quite. So what I want to practice today with you guys is, how do I take this vision, these visions of my life, and bring it here on earth? And here's the thing, we can have many potentials and possibilities. And we don't have to necessarily listen to every little creative spark. But there is a common thread of what your soul is whispering, what it's kind of encouraging us to feel. And the thing is, here on earth, we have free will. So there's no shoulds or has to. And we are infinite beings. After we leave this body, we're going to continue on into the universe, however that way look like. And that's sort of like the mystery of life. But so there's no mistakes. But as humans and as souls, there is something fulfilling about thinking of something that you've always known, and then allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to actually, you know what? I'm gonna travel to South Africa. I'm gonna tour Southeast Asia. Yeah, I know it's crazy. Oh my God, I have to take 6 weeks off or 6 months off, but yeah. And let me know in the comments if you've ever done something that's kind of like irrational, kind of like nobody's telling you to do this. Nobody's saying, but you're just like, I feel like I need to do this. I need to go left when everyone's going right. Anyone? Because that's kind of what the soul will do. It will be like, go ahead. And then there's something about that, if we are in the practice of receiving it, when we finally are like, oh my God, that thing that I've always visioned. Like for me, okay, I know it's so ridiculously silly, but you see these floors, these beautiful maple birch floors. I've always wanted beautiful, clean, spacious, like never-ending floors. Okay, this is something material. Now, there's so many other possibilities in your life, like relationships and travel. But just to give you something concrete. And man, am I receiving it. Like I was dancing on this floor today, and I was just like, oh, this is why I've always wanted that. And the vision doesn't come to full fruition until you finally experience it and realize what the real gift is. I always known I kind of love these floors. I don't know why, and I could make up all these reasons. But as I was dancing around my home today, I'm like, oh, this is why I have these floors. I get it. Okay, right? Let me know if there's anything like that in your life where it came into your life and you thought you wanted it for something, and then all of a sudden you're like, now I understand why I had that relationship, why I broke up with that person, why I moved to India for 6 months. Like there is something, and you thought it was maybe to get enlightened, but it was to meet that one person, or to have that one encounter, right? So that's what happens when we start to follow our vision. There is some gift that occurs as we are bringing it into fruition. And again, it's all choice. So I'm not here to say you have vision and you have to get to that vision and it must be like this. But I'm just giving you the fruit of how it happens when you start to commit to your soul, when your soul that nobody else knows except for you, and you follow it. And we all know this. We've all had moments in our life where something wasn't reasonable and we followed it. Okay, so that's what I want to do as an embodiment practice today for you all. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand up. And of course, who knows where you are in your moment today, but if you are in your moment and you have a moment to be just kind of in your body, the first thing you want to do is arrive. So this is the doorway, this body, and we want to begin to let the body and the nervous system know, I'm here. I'm here for your listening. J'ai à l'écoute. I'm here to listen. And of course, at the beginning, that listening is not going to come right away because we're on like go mode, especially if you're just sort of like in the middle of your day, you're kind of like trying to get your SHIT done, right? And the funny thing is, as I was getting my stuff done, I was also letting my body know in preparation for this video, I'm here. I'm still here while I drink my coffee, while I make lunch for my kids. So let your body know you're here. Breathing in and breathing out. And let's enter the doorway of the body through pleasure. So how would your body move, not the way my body moves, but how would your body move if it wanted to tune into pleasure? How would it move? And again, maybe close your eyes so you don't necessarily think, okay, well, the way Jamie's moving is how pleasure is, but like, how would your body enjoy itself right now? And if you are like, yeah, you're still kind of entering from that mind space, or you're like, I don't know what she's talking about, think of moments of pleasure in your reality, in your life, and like feel it in your body and sway with that feeling. Maybe you was holding your newborn baby grandson, right? Maybe, it's that love making you had last night, or your first lover, right? Maybe it's like that moment where you're in the forest and all you can feel was the trees. Like, what is pleasure for you? And just let your body remember it. So sway with that pleasure. And let the body kind of like let it in. So you start to notice areas in your body that are kind of like rigid. And just start to kind of like, okay, this thing called pleasure, can I kind of let it seep into my body? So one way you can do that is just to kind of get a little bit more circular, right? Because I doubt pleasure feels like this. It could be, I don't know, I could be wrong. But I think there's a certain sensualness, there's a certain circularness, like water, right? So let's just tune into that circular, watery kind of feeling. We can start in the ankles. And if you're like in the middle of doing whatever you're doing, maybe you're in the grocery store or something, I don't know, and you're just kind of like, what is this? You can still find that like liquidy kind of movement. So you start to name to the nervous system, I'm going to kind of let things enter just a little bit differently instead of going on to the automatic pilot. So we go into the ankles, we go into the knees. We exhale through the mouth. We hinge a little bit here and we let the hips sway. And you follow your movement. So I'm going a certain speed, but maybe for you it's like this. Or maybe for you it's like this. Like so you start to kind of feel your way into your body. How is it that you can enter your body now? What is the entry point? What is the speed? What is the motion and the movement? How are your circular movements happening for you today? Yes. And then start to allow yourself. So here it is. Give yourself permission. It's so funny. Like I was walking on the street and there was this mother and she was walking like this, you know, with her kid. And then the kid was walking like this. Because children, they understand the doorway of their body. They understand like, oh my God, you know, the doorway of just creating and feeling that joy and that pleasure, right? So it is a permission to kind of take the identity off of how we should move to what's possible. What's possible for me right now? So we'll continue to go into the ribs. And these kind of points of awareness in the body just kind of help you. Like if your mind is taking over too much and you're like, I don't really understand pleasure, you can kind of like utilize points in your body, your skeleton structure that is moving against your fascia to kind of discover, what is this thing she's talking about? What is Jamie talking about here? And then here, we can start to move from, these are the clavicles. So we can imagine those moving in circular motion. And they're connected to the shoulders. Yes, that's it. Good. And then we're going to go into the spine and just let the spine, maybe the spine wants to round. So you tuck your tailbone underneath your middle back and your neck. And maybe it wants to go forward, like a bow and arrow. Round and forward. Okay, round and forward, and get out of like, oh, I'm so bad at this. Just let your body kind of give it a little bit of space from that thinking mind that constantly thinks its way through life. Just like let your body move and don't think about it as a performance or a what's good or what's not good, but just go back into, if I were to feel circular, if I were to feel water, what would that feel like in my body? And what would that pleasure feel like? Because your body knows, okay? Your body knows. So you don't have to be some professional movement person, okay? Everyone can move. Breathe in, breathe out, okay? So we'll go up to the neck. And the neck again can move in circular. So we'll go side to side first. And then we can also let the head relax because we are on our feet. So remember that sway at the beginning? Notice how the sway comes from the bottom all the way up. And you see the head? Oh, yeah. Right, because it's not just, right? So when you see like somebody trying to like, it kind of looks uncomfortable because they have forgotten that the feet and the head are connected. And so now I'm going to let you start to go back and forth. Go back and forth. Go back and forth with this roundy type movement. Ankles, spine, shoulders, arms, wrists. And then maybe in this back and forth, you start to look around, up your walls, the floor. And your mind's going to enter. It's like, oh, wow, I need to clean my floor. Like, oh, look at that spider. Like your mind will enter the picture. And then you just come back. Breathing in, breathing out. Come back into that pleasure. Come back into that sway. Feel. Inhale and exhale. And maybe the pleasure and the rounding and everything I'm saying today, you're kind of feeling it. You're sort of feeling it. Or maybe you're fully in and you're like, oh yes, I feel it, what you're talking about. So whatever it is, there's no assessment. Again, we're just using the strategy of the body and entering the body, embodying it. So that eventually that tunnel, that channel that is available to all of us will enter. It may be today and it may be the more and more we let ourselves move. So breathe in, breathe out. So now that we've kind of entered the body somehow, and we've allowed ourselves to feel that roundy, watery feeling. And remember pleasure inside of that opening. We can start to give the body a bit of repetition so that it kind of starts to take the mind out of the picture. And so through repetition, we want to make it really clear. Okay, so for those of us who have just taken or have taken the dances medicine training with Milena Bergeron, you all know what I'm talking about here. I'm transmitting the teachings of my teacher as dances medicine, deep flow. And so you can look into that because that's where I've been studying for the last year. And so here we go. Here we go. So what it is, this repetition is something clear. And as my teacher Milena would say, it's so clear that if 100 people were watching you, they'd be able to do it. So just find the repetition, and maybe you kind of like you're trying to find your way in. And usually it's very linear. So it's less of that watery kind of like feeling and it's more linear. Okay, and you find your own repetition. You find your own repetition. Okay, you find your own repetition. How that's going to look like in your body. Okay, so you feel it out. And if you're still not sure, you can borrow mine, but you don't have to. And that mind can kind of like, you can start doing this and then maybe realizing, oh yeah, actually mine is this. Or mine, something you might have something just slightly different, but that kind of, the repetitive linear motion will just give you the idea, and then your body will sort of find its way. Okay? So now pick one repetition. Hello, pick one repetition. Okay? If you're just getting on, I would highly recommend try it out, because here it is. This is what starts to give your mind a break and let you go back into that feeling that we're all good at, right? We're good feelers. Us spiritual entrepreneurs are good at feeling. Us healers, us in the transformational space are really good at feeling. And that feeling and staying in that feeling, so you breathe in, breathe out, right, is what's going to give us those like hits of intuition, those hits of inspiration. Okay? Because today is about from vision to reality. From vision to reality. How can we take our vision and bring it here on earth? Okay, so I invite you to do a repetition, very, very, very clear and simple. Pick something simple. Doesn't have to be with the arms. It could be somewhere else in your body, your head, your hips, your feet, but something that's going to repeat. And we're going to do this for the next minute. So choose something. Just choose something. Breathe in and breathe out. And you choose it at your own speed. So I'm going at a particular speed, but your speed might be slower. Your speed might be faster, right? So you just go at your own intensity. And the intensity is kind of based on what is going to help you just stay in it. What movement and what momentum is going to just help you just stay with it, right? Till eventually, like, you're not even thinking about it. Yeah? So you do it until you're like, okay, I can just kind of stay here. It's very sustainable. And once you have that rhythm, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and go now, go, okay? Do your thing, commit to your movement, make it clear, make it linear, that's it. That's it. That's it. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then your mind's going to go, yeah, well, this is boring. But that's what we want. So when the mind starts to enter, bypass it and go back into your repetitions. Okay? So this is where we kind of like, the mind will think it knows what's happening. Just go into the body. Remember, this is an embodiment practice. Go into the body. The mind will come in later. Yes? So I hope you're kind of just in your repetition where you're not trying anymore. It's pretty simple. And if you kind of, you weren't getting it, you kind of know now the base. Yes? Okay, so now you slow it down. Good. Breathe in. Come back to the sway. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, we can enter many different continuity of this embodiment practice. So what we did at the beginning is we started to move in that circular motion I talked about. And just now, give yourself a moment, okay? Just give yourself a moment to go freestyle. So if I were just to move around my room, okay? I'm walking my room. And I'm continuing to enter that pleasure sensation. That's what we talked about. We're like, okay, let's feel pleasure in our body. And if you're like, I don't really feel pleasure right now, think of a thing that makes you feel, that you feel like, ooh, I really like that. I love the feeling of swimming in water. Right? I love the wind on my face. Like, start to feel something pleasurable that you felt before. And then just kind of let your body freestyle in its movement by just kind of taking yourself around your room, even if you're just walking and you're swaying a little bit, and you're taking yourself around the room, like all different directions, north, south, east, west, back, forth, side, side. And you're, ooh. Now, if I were to kind of walk my room, and I want to walk from that pleasure place, how would I walk? And again, maybe there's some other feeling that's coming up for you, like joy or peace or something that you're like, the pleasure thing, I'm not feeling it. So let me feel this. So let that feeling, whatever that is for you, walk the room. And now I want you to imagine your room can see you, And you're kind of showing the room that feeling that you want to feel. So I use pleasure, but maybe you have another feeling. Okay? So it's a feeling that you're like, I'm bringing it in. And yes, we do work with all feelings. Yes, sadness, overwhelm, anger. But just for today, just choose something you want to feel, whatever that is. I was suggesting pleasure. And what would that look like if I were to walk my room and show my room that feeling? So just do that now. You're like, okay, hello room. I'm going to show you. And just choose little like things, like I see my couch, I see my plant, and you're just kind of like, let me go over here and show this corner, this feeling. Okay? And again, be like a child and play with it, you know? If you were playing a game and I'm like, this is what this looks like or this feels like, you wouldn't think about it. You just give yourself the opportunity to do it. Even if it's awkward, you're like, I think it's like this, like, you know? All right, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, we're going to come back to that sway. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, now, take this moment. So you might really be into the movement. You might sort of not be at all. You might be watching this more from your intellect. But I would suggest to go back if you're not really in it and really let yourself go into the body if it's inspiring. Because this is now the channel that we've opened. And in this channel is where the trickling in of answers come. And so we can just kind of pluck in a little bit of an inquiry. And the inquiry, as we kind of move the body, is what is that thing that I've always known about myself and see myself in the world doing? When you were small, there's something that like, it's funny now that I think about this, now that I've been taking this dance training, I used to dance in front of my mirror like all the time. I used to just, do all these things. And here I am doing it now. So it's something I've always known. It's something I've always seen. It's something I've always experienced. So take a moment, breathe in, breathe out. What is that thing that you've always known to be true about your life? That you've always seen yourself here on earth doing? Sometimes the answer comes in a vision, it comes right away. Sometimes it helps to write it down with a question and just be with it. And don't necessarily feel like, oh my God, I didn't hear anything. Because sometimes just there is that space that's needed. But what I suggest, so here's where it's like, okay, we're from the body to now starting to bring the vision a little bit more here into the 3D. And the 3D, it starts with that question. What is the thing that I've always known to be true about myself and what I'm here to do on earth? And once you kind of see it, feel it, just let it be. You don't have to do anything with it. You're just like, oh yeah, I've always remembered that. So simply just celebrate. Yeah, I remember that I've always loved horses. Oh, yeah, I remember I always loved to draw rainbows. Oh, yeah, right? And so here's where you start to now. Okay, so now you have, so once it's there, once it kind of comes to you, so again, it will come to you from, again, coming to the body. You can even just do this around your living room, kitchen, or wherever, walking in the street. And you ponder that question: what have I always known to be true about what I'm doing here on earth? What am I supposed to do here on earth? You just, I give, like, if there's nothing that's happening right now that's coming to you, sometimes it comes right away, but if nothing's happening, just let it be with you. Just write it down, right? Write it down. What have I always known to be true about what I'm doing here on earth? And you might want to rephrase it in something that makes most sense to you. And you just let that question be. You can even just put it somewhere where you see it. And the answer will come. And so then, when you start to remember, write it down and speak it to somebody you love, right? Speak it to somebody. Let me rephrase that. Speak it to somebody, right, that you know is going to just hold it with, like, oh, wow, that's so cool. So if that's just you, if it's just you, like, I've always remembered I love to dance. Yeah, right. And so you celebrate the remembering of who you've always been, because that's really what it is. We're not trying to get to some heightened, enlightened state. We're actually just remembering that we are that. We are that light. We are that whatever, joy, that love. So here's where you start to bring it into the 3D. You start to write it down. You start to speak it. And if you want, you can even DM me and say, you know what came to me? It's this. Because that's how it starts to get out of the ethers and into, here's my truth. Nobody else knows it. So you share it with somebody who's going to just hold space for it. If that's you or somebody else, or, you just, that can just, And that's just step number 1 in from vision to reality. And we want to take that vision and just give it a bit of space. Because sometimes what happens when we kind of have these very ideas, we either overthink them at the beginning and we go down many different options, or we think about it and we're like, yeah. And then we almost forget, exactly like a dream. That's what vision is. It's sort of like this dream state. So to get it out of the dream state into the physical realm, at least to start to play with it, okay? It doesn't mean you have to do anything with it right now, but just, oh yeah, I've always known that. I've always known that to be true. So that's my, this is kind of our entry practice for this vision to reality process, right? Taking something that you always known in your heart, and you feel a calling, you feel compelled to explore and play with that and be with that and bring it a little bit more into the 3D reality. Okay? And just kind of watch how how quick your mind will easily kind of diminish the, oh yeah, but that's a crazy idea. Oh yeah, like healing horses and using that as a healing. No, that's, just watch that, because that's how, that is how it's difficult when we have something in our heart. But Here's the process. And when that vision continues to kind of like call you, you know, that's kind of when you know, there's part of me that kind of wants to experience it in this 3D world. And like I said, you've all had these experiences where you decided something kind of a little bit crazy, where everyone was going right and you decided to go left, and you kind of went all in and you went fully committed to that thing that you, whatever you thought it was for you to do, whether it was something like, I'm getting a divorce, I'm moving to this place for 3 months, I'm cutting all my hair off, whatever it is, there is always something in that experience where you start to realize, oh yeah, that's why I did this. And it's often what you don't expect. So when we practice this practice of vision to reality, there is something that feeds our soul. And it is, again, free will. So I'm not promoting that you must have a vision and you must come to its fruition. I'm not promoting that. But what I am promoting is that if there is something that's been beckoning you, that's been calling you, that's been compelling, okay, and you kind of it's been looping in your head, and then you go from this vision to overwhelm to vision to overwhelm and this sort of, and then let me kind of heal myself to find myself again, it's kind of like you go to the heightened states, but then something kind of gets you stuck. That's kind of when you know there's just something that is emerging in you that is like, take the chance. Because the fruition of this, the following it through, your soul's going to wake up a little bit more and remember, oh yeah, that's it. Right? So that it's simply a invitation, right, to a practice of vision to reality, and an invitation of what the potential of experience can be, right? Because we are ultimately the creator of our life. And so if we're going to create our life, we might as well do it with open, and do it with awareness, with consciousness. Because we are always creating our life. That's the truth, right? But sometimes we could be creating it and sort of coming from this place of life is just happening to me. And when we practice this vision to reality embodiment practice, it gives us the opportunity to, I stumble, but I'm consciously stumbling towards something that is calling my heart. So that is my very simple practice. And again, these practices have been a study that I've been studying with one of my teachers for a long time, of 10 years, but in the last year I've been practicing a dance as medicine training. And she's offering a training in September, so if you are interested, let me know. And also, if you are what I call a spiritual entrepreneur, and that's just words, right? You have some sort of spiritual practice, and it is something that is also beckoning and calling you to do that as your life's work. And sometimes bridging that gap between your life's work and the thing that you kind of know and you're called to do, and bridging it into something practical, into some a business implementable strategy for you. Because as empaths, as sensitives, if I were your coach, I can't tell you what to do, but I can continue to reflect back and bring you back on that path to what your soul is calling. And then from that place, that very place, that's where we implement the business strategies. Because for us, they need to be aligned. Otherwise, that's why sometimes when we hear certain strategies, we're like, nah, because we haven't made that bridge. So if you're ready for that, if you want to kind of manifest something here from that place of your soul, the thing that you've always known, then DM me and let me know, Jamie, I'm ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call. And on that call, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an application, right, to all people that I work with, and we're going to look at like where am I, and, I'm going to look at where is it that I'm potentially stuck in my body, mind, and energy. And on the call, we're going to look at that, because that's going to be the domino effect to continue your path towards where you want to go and the life and the business that you want to realize here on earth, like while you're alive. Right? If you want to just kind of like go with the flow and, it's fine too. Okay. But this is just the offering. So DM me and just let me know, Jamie, I'm ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call. I'll send you the application. If you want to learn more, there's also the Discipline of Business and Yoga Facebook group where I do a lot of trainings, and there are also some testimonials of people who've worked with me before. You can DM me directly and ask me more about this training, this kind of spiritual / business training, and I will be happy to answer your questions. Otherwise, I am just happy that you are here and you have perhaps taken in a little bit of some experience that starts in the body, because again, if you are like me and most of my clients, that's sort of a doorway that works for us sensitive healers, empathic people. So stay tuned. That's it. I'm normally in my private Facebook group. If you want to join that, join that. And then you can also DM me if you're ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call. And I will see you next week, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I want to hear your biggest takeaway. I don't see the comments. I don't know why, but I'll probably see it after, and I'll make sure to respond to you all. Bye. Thanks.